The captivating tale of the 1986.5 franc coin from the French Republic, République Française, is more than just numismatic trivia. It is a living symbol of France's revolutionary spirit, artistic brilliance, and everyday democracy. Stamped with the immortal motto, Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, liberty, equality, fraternity, this modest nickel coin carries the soul of the French Republic on both its faces. Issued in 1986 at the historic Monnaie de Paris, Paris Mint, it was never meant to be a rare treasure. It was a hard-working piece of pocket change used by millions of French citizens for daily transactions. Yet its design tells an epic story that stretches from the bloody streets of the 1789 French Revolution to the elegant studios of 19th-century artists and finally into the modern Fifth Republic. Welcome to Old World Coins Vault here. We bring you the oldest, the rarest, and the most mysterious coins from around the world. Do you want to know which coin is worth millions? Which coin is hiding one of history's biggest secrets? And which coin looks ordinary today, but could make you rich tomorrow? So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's open the Old World Coins Vault. The face of the coin is dominated by one of the most beloved symbols in French history, la semeuse, or the sour. Created by the legendary French engraver and medalist Louis-Oscar Roty, 1846 to 1911, this design first appeared on French silver coins in 1897 during the Third Republic. Roty, born in Paris in 1846, was a child of the Romantic era who later became a master of the Art Nouveau style. He trained at the École des Beaux-Arts and won the prestigious Grand Prix de Rome in 1875. His genius lay in capturing movement, emotion, and national pride in tiny metal canvases. Roty first sketched the idea of a sower woman in 1887 for a Ministry of Agriculture medal. The project was shelved, but in 1895 to 1896, Finance Minister Paul Doumer personally chose Roty to redesign France's coinage. The result was revolutionary. The sour shows a young Marianne, the personification of the French Republic, striding boldly to the right across a sunlit field. Her dress billows in the wind, a Phrygian cap, the ancient symbol of freed slaves and the Revolution, sits proudly on her head, and her long hair flows freely. In her left arm she cradles a sack of seeds. With her right hand she scatters them generously into the earth. The rising sun in the background promises a bright new future. The words, République Française, curve elegantly around the top, while Roty's signature O Roty appears discreetly at the bottom. This was no ordinary agricultural scene. The sour is France itself, sowing the seeds of liberty, equality, and fraternity à tout vent, to every wind, no matter the storms of politics or war. The design was so powerful that it remained on French coins for over a century, appearing on 50 centimes, 1 franc, 2 francs, and 5 francs, until the euro replaced the franc in 2002. Even today, a stylized semeuse graces some euro coins. Roty's creation influenced global coin art. Some historians believe it inspired America's famous Walking Liberty half-dollar of 1916. The 1986 1/2 franc was struck in durable nickel, 4.5 grams, 19.5 millimeters diameter reeded edge, during the presidency of François Mitterrand. France was in the middle of cohabitation politics, a socialist president and a conservative prime minister, and the country was modernizing its economy while holding tight to its republican symbols. Over 110 million of these coins were minted that year alone, making it extremely common. Yet every single one carried Roty's timeless vision of hope and progress. France needed practical, low-denomination currency for everyday use after the New Franc reform of 1960. The 1/2 franc, 50 centimes, was perfect for buying bread, newspapers, or metro tickets. The design was chosen because it embodied the Republic's core values without needing royal or presidential portraits, a deliberate rejection of monarchy. The Paris Mint, one of the oldest institutions in the world, operating since the 6th century, struck these coins with pride, continuing a tradition that linked modern France to its revolutionary past. Backside, reverse of the 1986 1/2 Franc coin. The reverse side is simpler yet deeply symbolic. In the center, the denomination is clearly written as 1/2 above the word franc, with the year 1986 below. An elegant olive branch curves gracefully beneath the value, symbolizing peace and the Republic's commitment to harmony. Encircling the entire design is the famous national motto, Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, Liberty, Equality, Fraternity. This layout was designed to be practical for daily use while reinforcing the core ideals of the French Revolution every time someone glanced at their change. The olive branch on the reverse is not arbitrary. Olive has long represented peace in Mediterranean cultures, and in French Republican iconography, it pairs beautifully with the dynamic energy of the sour on the obverse. Together, the two sides tell a complete story. The Republic actively sows the seeds of progress while maintaining peace and unity. This powerful phrase did not originate on coins. It was born in the fiery crucible of the French Revolution, 1789 to 1799. The ideas of liberty and equality were central from the storming of the Bastille, but fraternité, brotherhood, gained prominence during the radical phase of the Revolution. Maximilien Robespierre and other Jacobins popularized variations of the slogan. By 1793 to 1794, it appeared in revolutionary decrees and flags. The full motto, Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, became official during the Second Republic, 1848, and was firmly established in the Third Republic, 1870 to 1940. It survived the Vichy regime, which replaced it with Travail, Famille, Patrie, and was restored after World War II. Today, it is inscribed on all French public buildings, coins, and passports. On the 1986 1/2 franc, it served as a quiet daily reminder of Republican values during a time when France was navigating European integration and domestic political tensions. The Monnaie de Paris, Paris Mint, one of the world's oldest minting institutions with roots in the 6th century, produced the coin. The actual striking in 1986 largely occurred at the modern Pessac facility near Bordeaux, though the Paris Mint oversaw design and quality. The obverse design is the work of Louis-Oscar Roty, who died in 1911, long before 1986. His timeless artwork was reused because it perfectly captured the spirit of the Republic. The reverse elements, value, olive branch, and motto arrangement, evolved from earlier designs but stayed faithful to Roty's overall aesthetic for the Samus series. The coin was created for purely practical reasons. After the 1960 introduction of the new franc, where 100 old francs equals 1 new franc, smaller denominations were needed for everyday commerce. The 1/2 franc, equivalent to 50 centimes, was ideal for small purchases like a baguette, a newspaper, or a bus ticket. France chose Republican symbols over portraits of living presidents to emphasize that the nation belonged to its people, not to any individual leader. 1986 was an eventful year for French coinage. While the 1/2 franc circulated normally, with over 110 million pieces minted, specifically around 110,003,011, the government introduced a controversial new 10-franc coin that year. This larger nickel coin was meant to replace older 10-franc pieces, but its size, weight, and color were too similar to the tiny 1/2 franc. People constantly confused the two in their pockets, paying with a 10-franc coin thinking it was only worth 50 centimes, or vice versa. Public outrage erupted. Within weeks, Finance Minister Edouard Balladur withdrew the new 10-franc coin from circulation. Most were recalled and melted down, turning surviving examples into minor collector curiosities. This scandal highlighted how even well-intentioned modern coin designs could fail when they ignored everyday human habits. In contrast, the humble 1/2 franc with Rhodey's classic sour sailed through without issue, proving the enduring power of good, time-tested design. The 1986 1/2 franc is extremely common due to its high mintage. In circulated condition, it typically sells for less than $50 to $200 on platforms like eBay. Even in uncirculated, UNC or high grades, MS65 to MS67, values remain modest, usually between $200 to $2,000 depending on condition and grading, for example, by NGC or PCGS. If this coin has a mint error, it can make it stand out from ordinary coins. When coins are produced, machines strike thousands or even millions of coins at the same time. Occasionally, a small mistake occurs during this process, and that very mistake can make a coin one of the rarest in the world. For example, if the coin has a double strike, the design is stamped twice, or an off-center strike, where the coin appears half blank and half with the design. Sometimes a coin is made with the wrong metal error, and sometimes die crack or die break errors create unusual and unique designs. Coins with such errors are produced in very limited numbers, which is why collectors worldwide search for them. Throughout history, some of these coins have sold for thousands to even millions of dollars. Occasionally, a coin with just a small mistake can be auctioned for millions of dollars. That's why if you have an old coin, examine it carefully. It might not be an ordinary coin. It could be a rare error coin that could change your life. Because sometimes, a tiny mistake becomes the greatest fortune. Sometimes, minor errors can occur during the minting process, such as off-center strike. The design is slightly shifted to one side. Weak strike. The image or lettering is faint or blurry. Die crack. Fine lines or cracks appear on the coin. Clipped plancher. The edge of the coin is cut. How much can these errors be worth? Common coin, $50 to $200. Minor error, $1,000 to $300,000. Clear and attractive error, $6 to $8 million or more in very rare cases. Important. Since this coin was produced in very large quantities, its errors are generally not very valuable unless they are extremely clear and unique. Claims of silver 1/2 franc selling for millions usually refer to much older 19th century silver versions or entirely different rare French coins, not the modern nickel 1986 issue. Its real value is historical and symbolic rather than monetary. For collectors of French Republican coinage or those fascinated by La Samuse, it represents an accessible piece of living history. Complete sets of the Samuse series or high-grade examples from low mintage years command higher prices, but 1986 remains an entry-level coin for beginners. The story of this coin reflects France's journey, from revolutionary chaos to stable democracy, from artistic innovation to practical modernity, and from grand ideals inscribed on flags to humble symbols carried in millions of